Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode from the Wings. We have a very special guest star with us today.
I'm Olivia Orsag, and I am an intern this summer with Reba.
So I have season tickets for Marriott in Lincolnshire, Illinois. One of the things that they offered was a new musical called Beehive, the ultimate celebration of the 1960s female empowerment, featuring such timeless classics as My Boyfriend's Back, Be My Baby, Son of a Preacher Man, and Me and Bobby McGee. Beehive, the 60s musical, nostalgically recalls the days of miniskirts, transistor radios, and flower power. I read that and I thought, oh, this sounds like a lot of fun. And I told you when we sat down, I said, wow, I really like 60s music. I was born in 1956, and so a lot of these songs are super fun to me. First of all, how you felt about the theater space.
So it was not what I was expecting. I have not been in a theater like that before, where it's like, so you walk in and the theater's in the middle, and it's just a circle theater. So like the stage is a circle in the middle.
Yeah, it's called Theater in the Round.
Yeah, and I had no idea.
So
it
has
like
actually 4 aisles that
Yes.
they use for all their entrances and exits all across you. There's really no bad seat in the house.
Yeah, really, which is kind of cool because the actors are just going in and out those aisles the whole time. You get to be like right up next to them, which is super, super cool. So I really liked that, but it was a little bit different than what you're used to with typical theater, you know, where it's just right in front of you.
So what did you think? Because you did make a comment about the set to me.
Yes.
So
yeah.
tell them about that.
So there wasn't really a set on there. They had the band on the stage, and they had there was like something overhead that kind of had like little cupboards, I guess you could say, like kind of like 1960s.
I mean they were big, but I would say they looked almost like shadow boxes.
Yeah,
like, and it went all the way around the whole side of the stage.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed that there wasn't a set?
I think I was initially a little bit like, oh, that's different, and maybe a little bit disappointed.
I don't know if we can really call it a script, because it felt more like a concert with a little political agenda that kind of added it together. But so what did you think about that?
I think I expected there to be a little bit more dialogue in between the songs.
Yep.
But there wasn't. It was mostly just singing, and then
and a little introduction.
Yeah, there was a little introduction, and it kind of just went through the whole decade of the 60s.
Yeah.
So kind of like how things were changing in the 60s and everything. And again, it was kind of that political.
Yep. I should have been more discerning when I read the description, because I think that even just now when I read it, knowing what I know and have seen it, I could see that agenda was definitely there. So there were 6 girls, and literally every 3 songs they changed clothes, and every time they changed clothes, it was a progression of what that decade actually did. So it started out girls had their hair in beehives and were dressed almost like housewives, right? They were very conservative and and they just looked like sweet and nostalgic and wholesome. And then at one point they just took their skirts and ripped them off, and then they were in mini skirts.
And the costumes some of them were really pretty. Some of them were, they were okay.
Yeah.
You know?
They had a couple that were
a little interesting.
Yeah, almost like they didn't fit them. And I'm always amazed at that, because first of all, we have such a great costume team at Overshadowed that I'm like, okay, you have a full-time costume team and you couldn't get that one outfit to fit that girl. So what did you think about the acting / singing?
I think that some of the actors were definitely better than the others. The main girl I thought was pretty good. Her storytelling was good. She was very clear in what she said, and she had a nice voice. The storytelling, I think it was a little bit hard to follow at moments, just because it wasn't like extremely intriguing to me. I mean, what did you think?
No, it was not intriguing to me either. And part of the reason I wanted you to come on and talk to us about it is because it's interesting for me. Whenever you do theater and you're picking a play, you kind of want something that, even if it's not my generation telling this story, I want it to at least interest somebody who is from a different generation.
Right.
So I wanted to hear from you to see how it translated for you, and obviously it did not catch you.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it too, besides like the political agenda, was
Yeah.
kind of talking about what it's like to grow up as a young woman in this whole decade. And so it kind of, you follow along in their lives of when they're like young teenagers, and then just kind of how they had to grow up. And so that was, I mean, it can be relatable a little bit. It was a little bit relatable, but it wasn't very intriguing.
Yeah. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like even the music that I liked, I was having to push myself to enjoy it. So I don't know. We didn't really talk about their vocal ability.
Yeah.
But for me, for somebody who knew not knew the real people, but who heard the original recordings of these girls, I knew what these songs were supposed to sound like when they became famous. And so I think that I was much more critical than you were on them. Like you thought their voices were good, but I was like, oh no, they don't really sing like Tina Turner. So I'm sorry, Marriott. I did not love it. I did not love the choice. I also don't like it when people push to make women have a different voice. I'm all in favor of women getting the same amount of pay, equal pay for doing the same job that a man does. I think that that's horrible if we don't, but I don't think I have to push an agenda of having the right for an abortion or the right for other things that this definitely pushed. Not really wanting to sit 90 minutes and see the fall of mankind in that decade rather than something that was uplifting. I would say that I would love to come on here and say, Olivia and I had such a great time. We want you to get your tickets right away to go see this. But honestly, I just don't think that it is worth your time or money. And I think that if you see it somewhere else in another community, I also think that it's a hard pass for me. It's not something I'd want to see again. What about you?
I would agree. I mean, it does kind of just feel like a 60s concert. So if that's what you're going into it like expecting, then you probably won't be terribly disappointed. But as far as
very
the show,
tactful way to put it. So thank you also for being an intern. Guys, if you out there have thought at all about learning more about tech or set or costumes or anything, Overshadow does take interns, and we take them in the fall and the spring and the summer, although I will tell you that there's more to do around here in the summer, and so you'll get more experience doing it in the summer than you will at other times of the year. But there is an opportunity for you here, and I promise you'll learn a lot. What do you think, Olivia?
I completely agree. I mean, it depends completely on the internship that you take, but you will learn so much, and I think you will be grateful for the experience.
It's been a great summer so far. Thank you. So until next time, this is just me.
And me.
Talking to you from the wings.